Termageddon is the place you want to be if you want to get your website policies automatically updated without you lifting a finger. Well, you got to do a little bit to sign up, and we're going to walk through that right now. But once it's done, it's going to always keep updating and protecting you and your clients. If you're not a web agency, a freelancer, or anyone who works with websites, you're going to hit the register button, get signed up, and then go through the rest of the walkthrough. But if you are a web agency or a freelancer or anyone who works with websites, then you want to go ahead and click Agency Partners. Click Sign Up Today and fill out the details. There's not a lot to go here, but one of the most important ones is the URL for your website. I know it says agency, but if you're a freelancer, that's okay. Just make sure you stick that in and hit register. Once you're registered, you're going to get a wonderful email about how the world is in chaos, or your website world to be exact, and what can you do to protect that. So we're now going to start going through the steps of everything you got to do to get your policies online. Once you're signed up, you'll come over to your dashboard, and you will notice at the very top here we do have an area for further help, which we're going to go through on the walkthrough. We also have the promoter dashboard, so you will have an affiliate link that you can now start sharing out as well if you want to kind of hopefully get other people to sign up to Termageddon as well. But we also have the agency resources. Now this is going to be really useful if you want to get hold of some further information, like a waiver document as well, and I'll talk about that later on, or any other advice about how can you get the best out of reselling with Termageddon. Let's get started with assigning a license, and we're going to assign it to our own Web Squadron one. So we're going to click Assign License and give it a name. We're starting anew, so we can't copy an existing license. We're going to start fresh. But when you are working on another website or your clients, rather than starting from scratch, use out a fleshed out one and go and tweak it a little bit. Then click Continue Setup. The steps on the first page are really easy, but I want to jump over to the Users tab here. What if you are working on this in collaboration with someone else from your team or your agency, or maybe even with a client? You can go and share the license with them so they get to see all of the details that have been entered, because maybe it needs their input as well. On the first Policies tab, we're going to go and say that this is for a website. Go and put in your URL. Is it for a person or a company? 99% of the time, most likely it may be a company, so go and pop in their details as well. Where was your company formed? I'm going to go with United Kingdom. By the way though, if you are ever unsure of what these questions are asking you, just go and click the question mark and it will open up a tooltip in another window for you. Select what type of company you are, and you got a wide range here. And if there are any disputes, I'd like to resolve them in the United Kingdom. Now if you stated that you were a company, you will be asked to complete some further details, so please have them handy. And once they're all in, go and hit save. Now you may have noticed on that previous screen it did ask for an address and a phone number. It's a really good idea to have that. If, however, you don't have an address, or you don't want to give your home address, then you might need to go and get a company address that you're willing to share on the policies, because it is quite important that people have the facility to be able to raise a dispute or contact you, not just via email and telephone number. Once that's all done, we're going to add a policy. The pretty obvious one is the privacy policy, so let's start with that. Now there are quite a few steps that you do have to go through here, but once you've done it, remember this is going to be there for you to replicate for other websites as well. So let's go through it systematically. Do we do any business in US states? Well, yeah, because we're a web agency. So I'm going to click Select All and add them all in. Do you collect the personal information of residents of any United States? The answer again is yes, and we're going to select all of them. Now you might go, well, I don't really collect any personal information. If you've got a contact form on your website whereby you collect their name or their email, and a lot of contact forms with a lot of page builders out there kind of collect the IP address as well. So in a way, indirectly, you are still collecting some personal info. So just go and say yes to them. It's better to be protected than to say no and then get hit by it later on. Do we have any annual gross revenue of more than 25 million? Yes. No, we don't. Do we annually buy, sell or share the personal information of 100,000 more California consumers? Again, no. Do we derive 50% by selling that information from California consumers? Again, no. Are we required to comply with California privacy rights? No. We'll hit no to the Colorado Privacy Act, to the Utah Consumer Privacy Act as well. Do we offer any goods or services to residents of the EU? Actually, yes, we do. Do we monitor the behavior? Well, if you are using Google Tag Manager or Google Analytics or anything like that, then unfortunately we are in a way monitoring the behavior. It might be, did they visit a page or a post? How long were they on there? The bounce rate, things like that. We do offer goods and services to people in the United Kingdom. We are monitoring their behavior. I mean, not completely their behavior, but you know, where they click, which is behavior. Do we collect the personal information of Canadians? Well, we do have a contact form, so there might be someone who contacts us from Canada and maybe Australia too. Once we've done that, we then go and hit next. What we now need to do is start identifying what kind of information we do collect and what we do with it. This actually is a lot quicker than it looks, so stay with me on this. I'm going to look at name first because that's the one that's defaulted for us to add in some further clarification. We can't copy from a previous selection, but you'll see how good this is when we get to the next step. So the purpose for collecting the information. There is a long list here, but please don't be tempted into ticking everything because that's not actually true. When someone contacts you via a contact form, do you actually use the name for analytical purposes? I don't really think we would be doing that, so we can leave that all off. In fact, the only ones we need to worry about enforcing our terms of services, because maybe we contact them, so we might say, "Dear Tom," for instance. "Hi Tom, how are you doing?" Marketing and advertising, participation in surveys and contests, performing services, processing of orders and payment, especially if you do have an e-commerce store, providing customer service and resolving disputes. Now, we don't provide any finances or loans or mortgages, so we don't need to tick that one over there. And we may also want to confirm they are who they say they are if they contact us with a possible business collaboration deal. Now let's go to sources of information. So this will be information submitted by the consumer. Tracking pixels now, of course, though, if you are using like a Facebook pixel or again Google Tag Manager, most likely you will be detecting some form of information there. However, I've ticked it, but I am now going to say, in terms of name, would you get that from the tracking pixel? So actually, we need to untick it. So this is where you can have the danger where you sometimes go, yeah, we do it, but always tick in relation to where you may be collecting that information. How would you have got it? Remember, your Facebook pixel isn't really going to start telling you the name of the person. The final bit for the name is legal basis of why we're getting that. I'm going to tick the first 4 here, and that should be sufficient for many web agencies. However, if you are doing this on behalf of a client, always take time just to double check if any of these are valid. The final option on here is, do you share any of this information with third parties? And a lot of people would straight away go, no, we don't sell anything on. But do remember, if you are using WordPress or some other management system or MailChimp, MailerLite, ActiveCampaign, lots of tools out there, you are in a way passing that information through before it comes to your inbox. In fact, even by the fact that it's going via to your inbox via email, it is going through a third party. So you do kind of have to say yes here. When you do that, you will now have another option that you have to complete. So due to WordPress, we will click Customer Management System, and we're only going to go for a few options in here because we use it to manage our interactions with you and also to process transactions. We don't sell the data. We don't analyze your interaction with our website via that way, and we're not using it for anything like investigating criminal security. If you are using MailChimp, MailerLite, things like that, you will want to go for a marketing vendor, and we're just going to go with to market to you via email. We're going to go for email service providers as well. Again, very, very similar. Process transactions, to market to you via email. Obviously, if you have an e-commerce store, you're probably going to be using a gateway like PayPal, Stripe, or something else. So again, we're going to have to tick that and say to process transactions. That also applies to fraud prevention in terms of like PayPal and Stripe. So again, we're just going to go and say to process transactions and to prevent or investigate fraud. I'm also going to go to shipping companies. Now, this does not apply to our website, Web Squadron. However, if you are selling goods or actual tangible products, you would probably have to go and pick this as well in terms of process transactions. So that's the name field done. Now let's go over to the postal shipping address. And don't worry, you don't have to start from scratch here. We're going to go and activate it, click edit, and we are now going to copy from the name field because we've already worked on it. And you can now see everything's gone into green really quickly there. You may want to go in and just double check some of the fields. I know that for all of these, there's going to be no difference except when we get to the IP address. So really quickly, I'm going to go and activate all of them, and I'm going to set them all to be the name. Now, the IP address has been set to copy over from the name, but here's where we just need to do a slight modification of this one. We did not pick analytics, so I am now going to make sure that one is clicked. I'm going to go to the second area, which was the source, and I'm now going to pick tracking pixels, and that's basically it. Now I'm going to go and hit next. Next screen is going to ask us if we collect and use cookies. I would always go for yes on this, okay? Because it's very good to have that all cookie consent tool built into your website as well. Because if you go and hit no, or I don't know, you could leave yourself open here. So please do go and click yes. Termageddon does provide you with a cookie consent tool, and if you're happy with the terms of what you have here, I strongly recommend using it. So let's just go and click all these boxes and click activate. Do you knowingly collect information from any children under the age of 18? I'm going to say no. Do you sell any of the information that you collect? No. How long do you store that information? Well, I store it until something happens. And I'm just going to imitate the text that we have here. If you are sending out newsletters or emailing or even replying to an email, then in a way you are using the information for direct marketing, so go and tick yes on that. We're not providing any mortgages or loans, so we're not providing like automated decision making. You know, when you go to a website and you submit your details to get car insurance and it kind of works out what you could or could not get, that's what this is related to. But for web designers and agencies, not really, unless you have got a price quoting calculator tool that says based on your name and age we're going to charge you XYZ, which I would not recommend. Do we use the information for profiling? Unlikely. Now let's talk about how we protect that personal information. So we do limit the information to only use it where we need. We do have an SSL certificate, obviously the padlock. We destroy any information and delete when we no longer need it. We perform regular risk assessments. When you subcontract, don't just give them access to your websites or your clients' websites without having some form of contract in place. If you're using a Nokia 3210 to watch this video, you need to go and update your software. And I'm going to click the rest of these as well. Of course though, do read them, don't just tick them, okay? Because if any of the information that you store does become publicly available across the internet,
that is not a good move.
If you do have any other privacy policies and you still want them to be available and displayed, then go and hit yes. But personally, I mean, let me show you. If you hit yes, then you can go and start sticking in the URL. If you're going to be using Termageddon and they're going to be continuously updated, I would say just hit no and let Termageddon do the heavy lifting. We do use Google Analytics, so we're going to tick that, and then we are going to hit next. Does our website contain links to third-party websites? Well, yeah, if you've got social sharing icons or anything like that, you are linking. I've hit no for our website not responding to do not track signals. Browsers have moved on now, and a lot of them won't honor this, so just hit no. And the next load are about state-specific acts, and are you going to apply this just to that particular state or country, or are you going to apply it to everyone? I would recommend you go for everyone because you're better off to be covered. The next is how do we verify someone when they do want to exercise their rights? So we might go for email, we may go for name as well, but anyone could type in a name, but email's a pretty good one to go for. We may want to go for phone number as well if we are collecting that, so we might say we might call them back up as well. How we update users about our latest privacy policies, especially when the law changes. Well, Termageddon's going to automatically automate that. So we will do this. And this bit is actually very, very important now. Who should they contact if there is any issues? Fill out your details, your phone number, your address, etc. Where do you process the data? Go and stick your country in. Do we have a data protection officer? Please don't assume that because your partner or someone kind of analyzes your data or manages your email system. That is not a data protection officer, okay? If you want to know more details, go and hit the grey and it's going to explain to you in a lot more information here. Do we intend to transfer the data outside of Canada? No. And who is accountable for the privacy practice and policies? I'm just going to copy what I filled in above. And there we go. We have our privacy policy for our website. You will notice that we do have a tab for advanced. So this is where you can style the image embed code, because this is the code you are going to stick onto your website, and I'll show you that in a moment. I am going to hide the policy title because I'm actually going to drop it onto a page I've already built, and then I'm going to hit copy to the code. Now I'm going to jump over into our website. I am going to delete what we had there. I'm going to go and grab in a HTML widget, and by the way, I am using Elementor, but you will have widgets or the facility somewhere for you to embed a code. I'm going to drop that code in over here, and what it now says is, please wait while the policy is being loaded, but don't worry about that. Let's just go and hit update for a moment. You are now going to see all of this information coming through, and if I was to go to any of these fields like say IP address, you're going to start to see some of the information I'd already completed is there. This was super quick. And once you've done all that and it's published, make sure that in the footer of your website, you've got a hyperlink somewhere that is going to take them to that particular page. Look, there you go. It's opened up for you. Now don't run off at this point, because we can now generate our cookie policy as well. So let's go and do that. The nice bit is about how you can align this with your branding. So I'm going to change this code to be FF0050. It's the Web Squadron pinkish red. I don't even know what color it really is, but that's the color I like. And then we get to decide on how is this going to open up. Is it going to be a fingerprint icon, or is it going to be a link say, in the footer? If you're unsure of what the fingerprint is, if you go to the Termageddon website, you'll notice here they have it there. It's always visible in the bottom left. When you click it, you obviously get the tool open up. But if you don't want that, you might want to go for the privacy settings hyperlink like that, which I actually do prefer. I'm going to leave it as the bottom banner, and I'm also going to say that if you do reactivate it, it will open up on the side rather than being bang on in the center of your face. You don't need to modify what you now get over here with regards to what will be visible unless you really want to. So if you don't like any of the wording or the spelling or anything like that and you want to change it, go ahead. But I would say leave it. Again, I would leave this as it is and just hit next. The next page will automatically pop in your URL because we added it earlier on. Now over here where we have privacy policy URL, you want to go back over to your website, get the URL for where this sits and drop that in. Then click next. Change the labels if required, but again, I would leave them as they are and hit next. Now this screen is actually quite important because you now just have to run a quick scan. What you will have is your URL. And at the end of that, you want to add in like a backslash or / sitemap.xml. If you are unsure of that, go and click this button here and you will have some further information on just advising you on the format that you need to use. Once you've done that, click yes and then run the scan. The scan is scanning your website in case there's any third-party cookies that are being like planted. So if you have any other scripts running or any other plugins or tools that are basically there, it identifies them, and you really need to make sure you alert users to them, because what you don't want them to do is they go to your website but there's like maybe like a pixel or something running behind the scenes, and if they knew that, would they still have come to your website? So very important you do run the scan. It took just under a minute to run for us, and you may be surprised at some of the results that come out of it. And you might go, well, I didn't realize I still had that on the website. I thought Google Fonts was completely eradicated on there. Or why have I got PayPal? I'm not selling anything there. So what you need to do for each one of these is go through them one by one, go over to general, and then decide, is this essential? So it's got to be there on the website. So this was for the cookie consent tool. We're going to keep it. Was it just functional because maybe it was part of like a plugin or some other facility you've got on the website, so you really can't eradicate it? Or was it from a marketing point of view, so maybe you had some adverts on there, for instance? So when I go to YouTube video, you'll notice that that is functional, but for the cookie consent tool, it was an essential. Now the scan did pick up Buzzsprout because we were using that a while ago to feed through podcasts onto our video, but we no longer do that. So I've gone and hit edit on that. I'm going to, well, leave it as functional. However, I am going to say deactivate this service because I no longer want it. And also, I've ensured that the service status is not accepted by default. So please do go through each one of these and make sure that you're okay with what you've got and you've double checked if you do want to have it activated by default. Once that's all done, go and hit submit. Now we can get on to adding it to our website. Remember, you've got the advanced tool, so if you want to add hide the policy title or modify any look of it over here. You are limited to what you can do, of course, if you want to get funky with the code. So I'm just going to copy this. I've gone to my cookie policy page. I'm going to delete what I had before, go and drop in the HTML widget like that and paste that code in. Bear in mind though, it's not going to bring it through at the moment because you're only on the edit screen depending on your page builder or how you're building. But if I was to now go and preview the changes, there they are. But now we need to go and sort out the cookie consent tool because that's just a page that will sit in our footer as well. There are various ways that you can add this to your WordPress website. Go and click the article over here and we're going to scroll down and go over to WordPress website. Now I do want to stress though, you can, if you want, use the Termageddon plugin, which is actually what we're going to do. You do also have the facility to use code snippets as well. So this is what you would add, and then you would go and drop in this bit over here that would replace what you see over there. So you could do that as well. But for simplicity, let's go and get the plugin. So do a search for Termageddon, install and activate that. Go to Tools and then click Termageddon and User-Centrics. Copy your code and then paste it into this box here. And once that's done, hit Save Changes. I am also going to go to the geolocation tab and I am going to say that this is enabled. And we're just going to hit Save Changes here. Basically, you don't need to show some of the cookie consent if based on certain regions of the world, but we do want to make sure it is definitely visible for the regions that you see here. When I go to our website now, this pops up at the bottom and it's got our branding in. I can go and see further information if I want by clicking that, and I can accept, deny, save settings. We also need to add the policy settings link to our footer as well. So if after someone has accepted or declined or whatever and they want to change their policy settings, they would need to click this. So I'm just going to copy this code. I'm going to drop in HTML just to sit below like that, and I'm going to go and drop in my code. Now this code is ever so slightly different than what is provided by Termageddon. If I just increase it over here, you'll notice it says User-Centrics PSL, and then it says Style Color White. See that over there? If you go over here, that is missing. So after the PSL, before the word privacy settings, I've gone and slightly modified it over there, because I wanted to have, basically, I didn't want it to be in the red link color. So I've added in center as well, just to center align it. And if we now update that and view this, and we click privacy settings, it now opens up. So you can paste it. I just wanted to style it a little bit different, but that's how you could add that to your page as well. However, if you do have a problem with adding this and it doesn't work for you, you can also use a short code. If I just go and drop in short code below here, this is what you would paste in, UC hyphen privacy settings, and that would then pull it back. And then you just got to go in and start modifying the style of it to fit what you need it to look like. We're rolling. We've got the privacy and the cookie policy and the consent tool all built into our website now. We can also go and add in some further policies though, like a terms of service. So if you are providing like courses or products or anything like that to people, I would recommend you do this as well. So let's go and complete this. Obviously, you can get courses from the Web Squadron website, so we're going to hit yes for that. I'm going to go for digital and services because you could book us for a one-to-one consultation as well. I'm going to say that the price is listed on the website. Now, I won't go for a fixed price because that then assumes there's a fixed price for every product, which is not entirely true. Does the price include taxes and any other fees? Yes. We deal with individuals and businesses. Can they make the purchases on the website? Of course they can. Does a third party process? Yes. Who are the third parties? So we're going to go with PayPal and we're going to go with Stripe. And I'm going to tick MasterCard and Visa. Buyers can cancel their purchase as well. They can cancel via the website. Do they have to pay a cancellation fee? No. Will the customer receive a refund? Well, yes, if it was a one-to-one consultation, and we'll put a full refund there. And then we're going to go hit next. And then you're just going to go through the questions and start answering what is relevant to you and the services that you provide. We don't offer any subscription. However, if you did, you would just go through the further questions. Users can create accounts, especially important if it's an e-commerce store, and then complete the other necessary details. By the way, 2021 is when the Web Squadron website was created. We have been running a lot longer than that, but the Web Squadron brand came out in 2021, but go and put the year in which that particular website was first published. Any changes will be visible by the terms of services link, and we also will make sure they're informed immediately. And just like with the other policies, we're going to copy that, drop in a HTML widget, and then just paste a code. Hit update, it's got all the relevant information that we needed to show. And that's basically it when I return back to my dashboard. But I do now just want to very quickly mention though a few things that you should take into account. If you go over to the agency resources, scroll down until you get to the bit about talking to your clients about data privacy. There is an option over here called a website policies waiver, and you basically get like a template email that you can send to them, whereby if they don't want to take up your offers in terms of getting like a policy set up, they're basically signing the waiver. Because if you don't tell them about this, you could be held responsible for the privacy policies or breaching data protection, GDPR, and all of these things. So if your client doesn't want to purchase a license, and remember, you'll get licenses at a reduced cost that you can then sell on. And also on the waiver page, you'll have the exact documents you need to be sending. So this is about the importance of web design policies. And if they fully understand this and they don't want to go for it, that is up to them. But at least you're protected. So if I was now setting up a license for another client or another website that I look after, I would hit assign license, put their name in, and now I can go and pick the one I've built with Web Squadron. Of course, you might just need to very quickly go through it to double check. Maybe your license didn't really have any tangible goods, but your client does, so modify and tweak it accordingly. You can now show your clients, when they see what they're getting, say to them, hey, go and look at another website. What have they got compared to what we're now giving you? And remember, if you are going to be doing this for a client, don't just charge them for the license, charge them for the setup fee as well. So you can start creating some recurring income for you and your company. Hey, I'm Imran. Take care. See you soon.